Can we start? It's 1 minute early.
Yes.
All right. We want to welcome everyone to our board meeting tonight. It is Thursday, January 18th at 5 p.m. We'll go ahead and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Larry will lead us in the pledge and our mission statement.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Okay, we are going to begin with an executive session, and I will take a motion to move into executive session.
I move that we move into executive session for the purpose of sale of real property.
I second it.
Okay, and we'll vote into, let's see. We have made the motion and seconded that we move into the executive session. We'll take vote individually. Larry?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we will move in then. Good evening, everyone. We want to go ahead and get started. We actually have already started, and we have been in an executive session. And so I will take a motion for us to come out of executive session.
I move that we come out of executive session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we come out of executive session. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We have already started our meeting tonight with the pledge and the roll call, and so we are going to move right on to recognitions and begin with Green Canyon Academic All-State honorees, and we will recognize them first. And Shane, are you the one who's doing that? Okay. We'll have them stand up. Yeah. And do we have anyone here taking pictures? I just need to know that. Oh, okay. All right. So we want them to stay for a second after you're done to get a picture taken, please.
All right, well, I just want to say I feel very privileged to be able to not only recognize our academic all-states for Green Canyon High School, but to be able to say we're going to recognize our very first academic all-states in the history of Green Canyon. So when we get them up on the board in the school, they'll be top of the list for sure. So, and we've got a certificate up here for Mr. Grunigal. We'll hand you. So Stockton Porter was our first academic all-state for boys cross country. Yeah, I think it's appropriate. We can clap for him. Yeah. He won't run off. Maybe we'll see Stockton a little later. I hear he either runs track or soccer or something, so we'll get him out. Charlie Jukes for volleyball. Marie Anderson for girls tennis. Brooklyn Fowers for girls soccer. And last but not least, Chad Jorgensen for football. So I know these guys are extremely busy. A couple of them are on exec, ambassadors, and like I said, a couple other sports. But I believe all 5 of them have a 4.0. I know all 5 of them have better grades than I have. So, but just congratulations and thank you for representing Green Canyon so well right out of the gate.
Okay. Thank you. If we could get everyone to slide to the middle, and Alan and Shane maybe as bookends on each end. We'll get a picture.
sing until your parents are done. Okay.
All right, can we have their parents please stand? We'd like to recognize the parents as well.
All parents, please stand.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations to you students. All right. We have some other recognitions this evening for some of our Teachers of the Year, and we would like to begin with Ridgeline High School, Kyle Day. I don't see Kyle Day yet. Oh, okay. We'll end with Kyle then. Okay. Then we will start with Heritage Elementary and recognize Joel Lopez.
Right in the middle of those two?
It is my distinct pleasure to present to Cache County Board of Education Heritage Elementary School's 2017 and 18 Teacher of the Year. We are so very fortunate to have an outstanding teachers at Heritage Elementary School, and it's even better to see all of you here tonight. Thank you for your support. But we would like to take a few minutes tonight to recognize Joe Lopez as our 2017-18 Teacher of the Year. And I want to let you all know that this is a great man. He is first in his family to have a college education. And not only does he have a college education, but he's teaching others to get a college education someday. When I think of Mr. Lopez, I think of this quote by B. McDaniel. An outstanding teacher is a force of nature, an earthquake looking for every opportunity to burst through the surface and to change the world. The power of an outstanding teacher can generate countless aftershocks long after they've passed on. I'd like to share a few comments from people that know Joel at this time. Luthea Martin, our third grade dual language Spanish teacher, had this to say about Mr. Lopez. Joel is a wonderful teacher and has wonderful leadership skills. This year, Joel has been working as a fourth grade DLI Spanish teacher. He runs the DLI committee, and he is an active member of the SAT team at Heritage. How does he do all this? I think it must be his superpowers. He not only enables the Spanish team, but he also helps them to move forward in their careers. He finds our individual value as teachers, and he assists us in developing those values. He does all of this with a big smile on his face. In addition, what we admire the most is how he never, ever gives up on us, and he inspires us to believe in ourselves more and more each day. He is a remarkable teacher, a partner, because he makes sure all of us feel supported and encouraged. When one of us is having a hard day, we all know that we can talk to Joel, and he will listen. Mr. Rollins, our fourth grade traditional teacher, had this to say about Joel. Joel is well liked by our staff and students. He is easy to work with, and it is evident that he wants the best for all children. I am glad that we were able to convince him to come to our school and to work with such a cooperative team. He is well deserving of this award, and soccer rules. Logan Eubanks, our special education chair, had this to say about Joel. Joel is amazing, and he has accomplished so much in such a short time. For example, he is the first in his family to get a college education, and I admire him and his work ethic to want to be the best that he can be. He is also an amazing soccer player and coach. He has spent countless hours teaching others to play the sport that he loves and enjoys. Joel is a wonderful man and teacher. One of Mr. Lopez's students wrote, "Mr. Lopez is really good at speaking Spanish." He is as good at speaking Spanish as he is English. However, I don't think I've ever heard him speak English. But if he does, I am sure he's a better Spanish speaker than he is an English speaker. Another student wrote, "Mr. Lopez is a really fun teacher. He is always making me feel like I can learn and be successful. I love being in his class. And I think it's really cool that he has a class pet turtle." Congratulations, Joel, on this honor. I, along with your colleagues, the board, the Cache Board of Education, all those in attendance here tonight, want to thank you for a job well done.
Well, honestly, when I found out that I was announced as the Teacher of the Year, I looked at Lance a little confused, and I was like, are you serious? Like, Heritage has so many good teachers, and I was so confident this year that the teacher that I nominated was going to win, and it wasn't me, so I was really positive. But at the same time, like, the two emotions came together. I was very honored, very flattered, and like I said, I was disappointed for the teacher that I nominated, so I'm still rooting for you, but it's a secret. But working at Heritage, I've had such a great experience working with all the people there. You know, you can't ask for a better team. I tell my team all the time when you come in, you know, I've never had a day where I come to work and I think, oh man, I have to see that person today. No, and like, it's every time we come in, I'm like, I can't wait to get to work. I know that I'm going to see so-and-so, and when one of us is missing, it's like a huge part of the faculty is missing. When anybody's missing, it's always like, oh, where's so-and-so? And that's just a great environment to work, and that's where all of us have been able to flourish. So if this award, you know, is Teacher of the Year, that's really because the faculty and the community there has allowed me, you know, the opportunity to spread my wings a little bit, so I appreciate that. But hopefully I convinced all of you that I can speak English, and yes, I can speak Spanish as well.
All right, Jeff? We'd like to get a picture, and would Mr. Lopez's family and teachers from his school stand? Thank you. All right, we will now recognize Lincoln Elementary's teacher, Shanna Griffiths. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I would like to introduce Shauna Griffiths. She's a fifth grade teacher at Lincoln Elementary. And some of the things that were said about some of the things that Shauna's friends and colleagues said are, I feel that Shauna is an exceptional educator for a number of reasons. One is that she is always trying to improve her teaching, which is so important. She is always wanting to learn herself. She has taken the Elevate program and worked really hard to make it work for her students. She is here way beyond contract hour times, working on her instructional strategies. She shares ideas and is so very positive with the entire staff and her students. I feel that she really works to make her lessons engaging and follows the course. She's willing to mentor others, and I could go on and on. I value her and enjoy working with Shauna. Shauna is an excellent teacher. She is willing to share her knowledge and expertise. She helps in so many ways. Shauna is very conscious of her students' progress and concerned about their well-being and success. She has taken the lead for the Elevate program with her fifth grade team and run with it, helping the others along the way. I feel like she is a great team player and is very easy to get along with. One of the parents of one of Mrs. Griffith's students said, last year, Mrs. Griffiths was my son's teacher. She really helped him deal with his anxiety. She made him feel comfortable in her classroom, and he loved her. She was so kind and encouraging. I think he excelled because of her. She is always willing to try new things. She makes me feel good about myself, and I know she does the same for her students. Shauna is awesome. I have enjoyed working with her the past 3 years. I knew her when I was at Millville as a teacher, and I was excited when I became the principal that she was at our school. So I would like to I would just like to offer her the award of, there it is, Teacher of the Year. Sorry.
I didn't know this part. Okay. It was the fun part that I'm not prepared for. Thank you. I feel honored and overwhelmed. There are many people in my faculty that deserve this a lot more than I do. I am new as a teacher, but this is a dream that has been fulfilled. I was able to get my college degree when my children went to college. I joined and went to college with them. As my baby graduated from high school, so did I graduate from college. I have a passion for this craft, and every day I hope that I get a little bit better. And every day, I hope that I touch one more life and give that one student some joy and a piece of curiosity and permission to make a mistake and grow, and that they want to come back and feel safe in my room in such a way that they are excited for math, for Elevate, for science, for social studies, for every subject that we teach, and for most of all, that they love to learn. And I feel it an honor and privilege to accept this award for Lincoln Elementary.
Could we have her family and her school family stand, please?
Got it. Okay, you will.
Thank you. All right, we will next honor Ashlina Johnson from Lewiston Elementary. Terry.
I can make this nomination for Lewiston's Teacher of the Year without any reservation. And Ashlina is just a natural teacher. She teaches 5th grade for us, and she's only in her 4th year teaching. This is her 1st year as not a provisional teacher. Woohoo! Go! And she's already teaching like a master teacher. She really is. She continues to learn and continuously reflects upon her practices. That's one of the things that I constantly tell her. I love how reflective and constantly looking for better ways to do things, and she just enjoys learning from anyone and everyone around her. Ashlina is always willing to go the extra mile for her students, and her positive attitude not only spreads to her students but to the whole school. She lights up a room when she comes in, but she sets really high achievements and expectations for her students, and she works really tirelessly with them to help them achieve these goals. She's currently the 5th grade team leader, and she also serves on the district STEM committee. She actually received her STEM endorsement before she was even finished being a provisional teacher. She just has a passion for learning. Parents, teachers, students, and paras all admire Ashlina and her love for teaching. A few things from her students. One of her students said she's the best teacher in the entire world, which is a pretty good honor. And another one said, Mrs. Johnson is amazing because she makes sure we understand things. So that's good. That's a good thing for a teacher. One of her parents said, Mrs. Johnson noticed the poor habits of my son and made him accountable for them. She also helped to set him up to be more successful, responsible, and productive at school. And one of her colleagues, God, I didn't want to rewrite it, so I've got it right here. Ashlina is willing to go the extra mile for her students. She tries new things to help her students succeed. She does all that she can to learn something about something she doesn't fully understand. She does her research. Ashlina looks at her strengths and weaknesses as a teacher and adjusts her goals accordingly. She is positive and kind and an example to all. Parents, teachers, and students in Paris all admire Ashlina and her love for teaching. And in the spring of 2017, Ashlina was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And she met this challenge with the same vim and vigor that she does her teaching. She began chemotherapy treatments every other week, and she always arranged to get those Friday afternoons so she didn't miss a minute of teaching. And then we told her to take Monday off because after can often be more challenging. But she'd always be back on Monday because she would be worrying about her students if she was at home. And so her dedication and strength are remarkable and a great example of true perseverance and a positive attitude. We love Ashlina. We have for you, Ashlina, a book that the superintendent mentioned at the beginning of the year, I Wish My Teacher Knew, and all of your students have signed it.
Oh, yes. I would love to. I'll make them quick. How lucky am I to go to a job every day that I love? And I truly love my job. And she talks about my chemo like I had to go, but you guys, it's what got me through. You teachers know that your students, when they look at you and they smile, magically you can smile. You can make it through everything. I am just so blessed to get to work with Leslie and my amazing team and colleagues. I am thankful for wonderful family support, and I'm so thankful for the mentors I've had and the things I've learned, and I'm just so excited to be a part of this district for many years to come.
Apparently, we need to have a spelling lesson. Ashley, you've never heard it before. It's fine. Oh, wow, so they can see it.
Okay, and would her family and her school family stand?
Yeah, we'll get rid of that.
All right, we'll go ahead and recognize Ridgeline High School's Teacher of the Year, Kyle Day.
Glad Kyle made it. It's an honor to recognize Kyle Day as the Teacher of the Year this year for Ridgeline High School. Kyle was selected by the teachers at the school, and that's because he's so well respected by those teachers. And Kyle taught for 2 years at Syracuse High School when it was brand new, I guess, or pretty close. Okay, and then 2 years at Mountain Crest, and now 2 years at Ridgeline High School. And he was a great hire when we hired him. I still remember one of the first few meetings that he attended with his department, and he had been, I think we sent him to a workshop, and he came back with all these ideas and asked for the department if he could present some of his thoughts. And that would have been 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, but I still remember that early morning meeting because it was so powerful. He was so well prepared and organized and convincing that some of the direction he felt the department should be taking in math was the right way to go, and they implemented a lot of those things. He's always been very progressive that way. One of the things that at Ridgeline High School, we've started standards-based grading, or we call it grading for learning, where we are not going to focus on the points a student earns, but what they actually learn. And Kyle was the first one that kicked that off. I asked him if he'd present to our staff one day at professional development, and he did a great job, and that kind of started to kick things off. And he just went to Toronto, actually, to learn more about that and to help as we continue to make that or move that direction at our school. So he's done a wonderful job. He helps us with basketball. That's pretty obvious. But he's always striving to improve. I'd say one other thing that I'd like to say is we had a school board member, Kurt Webb from the legislature, and I think Mike Lichty was there, and we were walking around the school, and I was talking about grading for learning, and I said, let's just go into Kyle Day's class, and you can just kind of see what he's doing. And so we watched for a while, and then Kurt Webb said, can we just stop the class and see if the class notices anything different in his class from other classes? And so I said, sure, let's do it. So we stopped him, and I just said, can any of you tell me what's different about the way this class is handled from another class? And 2 or 3 students piped right up without any previous notice or anything, and just said, yeah, we don't focus just on gaining points and doing extra credit and all that. We focus on learning and the things that we're supposed to know in this class. And it was pretty cool. It was a proud moment as a principal. So anyway, Kyle does a great job. I love the guy. He's a great staff member and a great teacher, and so I congratulate Kyle for being Teacher of the Year. I didn't expect this. Bob said it was powerful. I'm 6'8". I'm a big guy, so I guess it has that effect, even on my colleagues, not just the kids, right? So, no, it's a tremendous honor. I joked with Bob and thought that this was just a prank by my colleagues that went too far, and then he couldn't undo it eventually. So, but yeah, I am really honored. Having taught as long as I've taught, which is just 6 years, I look around and our faculty is amazing faculty, and there's a lot of great people, and so I really am honored. And most of all, anything that I do that's progressive or different or kind of new is really, in large part, I can say thank you to Bob and to Brittany and to Jim, our admins there, for letting, a kind of headstrong, opinionated teacher try new things, right? And so I really appreciate that. And really, at the end of the day, I love kids. I love the relationship I get to build with them, and then just trying to get better all the time. So, thanks.
We'd like to recognize his family and teacher family from Ridgeline. Congratulations to all of our teachers in this district. We are such a lucky district to have such fantastic teachers. We appreciate all that you do for our students and for the time and effort that you put into doing your jobs well. We're going to go ahead and move ahead with the agenda, and so this is a good time if anyone would like to leave, to go ahead and leave, but you are sure welcome to stay if you would like to. And we will go ahead and have public input next. None. Okay, there is no public input, so we'll go ahead and move to the consent agenda. I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. We'll go ahead and vote.
Are we supposed to be voting electronically?
Yeah.
No?
Is it not working? Okay. All in favor, say yes.
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 Those who are opposed? Okay, the motion has passed. We're going to kind of mix up our agenda just a little bit because we have some individuals who need to leave early. So we are going to start with our report section first, and we will begin with a report on dual immersion.
Well, I like the way you guys move through an agenda. It's awesome. Well, it's a pleasure for me to be here today and to talk to you about dual immersion. We're in our fifth year now here at Cache County School District, and I'm so proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And I miss the classroom every single day, but every time I go into a dual immersion classroom, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I love what I'm seeing in those classrooms and what's happening for our kids. So I wanted to explain to you today what's happening as we prepare now to move into the secondary schools with our dual immersion. We will move Portuguese next year to North Cache, and then the rest of the languages will follow the following year. So I just wanted to explain the program to you so that you understand what it's like in the secondary schools and what's to be expected in the decisions we've made with the pathway for Cache County, so that you can understand those things. So I understand in your agenda you've got some information that I have given you. So the first slide there has the secondary pathway. When they enter 7th and 8th grade, they will have 1.5 credits. One of those credits will be an honors language course, and the half credit will be a optional culture, history, and media course. So coming from a 50-50 program to a 1 class a day, we're looking to keep that 3 trimesters of language to help them as they continue to gain the proficiency that we want to get for what's coming ahead in 9th grade. And 9th grade will be then also an honors language course with the option to take the AP test at the end of that course. Any student who passes the AP test can then enter what are labeled as bridge courses, which are 3,000 level courses that are being created by university professors. So the funding from the state legislature last year that funded the bridge project funds university professors for these programs so that they can then create the materials for the courses, and then they work in tandem with a high school teacher and take these courses. So they will be 3 credit courses, $5 a credit. So these kids will be coming out of those high school programs with 9 credits plus the AP credit that they will also get. So well on their way to some good college credit and close to a minor actually in the language. But the really exciting thing you can see on the next slide is the proficiency that we're looking at as they leave these programs, advanced mid and advanced low in Chinese. So we're really looking forward to seeing that. We all already seeing tremendous gains. We're already seeing in our proficiency testing that we did, kids who were in the 4th grade already well into an intermediate high. So we're looking at some really great proficiency results from our kids. So that's what the secondary program looks like. That's what it'll be. It is a general education program, meaning that, you know, we can take any child into the program depending on their language skill as they move through. But they will be specifically prepared through a dual immersion program to enter into these courses. And it is, like as I mentioned, a 1.5 credit in middle school and a credit in high school for each year. So the next slides show you the pathways that we've mapped out for our program. So we have Portuguese moving first, and it's at Sunrise currently, and we'll move to North Cache and then on to Skyview. Cedar Ridge Chinese is also going to North Cache and then to Green Canyon. Providence will move to Spring Creek and Ridgeline, and Heritage will move to South Cache and then into Ridgeline. Those decisions were based on the zoning and feeder schools and the number of kids enrolled in zone for those schools currently. And as we move into the transition, the next information is just kind of a year timeline so that you can see the timeline moving forward for each of the schools and those languages as we begin the process next year in North Cache. So we have begun the transition, have had some great opportunities to take the principals, and I just just took the North Cache counseling department actually also to visit the program at Sunrise so that they could see what the kids are involved in and what's coming to them to help them understand a little better as they move forward with this program. We are holding a parent meeting to make sure the parents understand the secondary program as they move into registration. So that's what it looks like, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Great, well, thank you for your
question.
Perfect.
So I see that Mountain Crest is the only high school that doesn't have any DLI
Feeder
students
program.
going into that. So are we going to remedy that soon? Is that in the plan?
It's definitely, yes, we're definitely talking expansion and how we can get a feeder program to Mountain Crest, so absolutely. Yeah.
How do you decide which elementaries, where and what languages to put into elementaries? Because I know that Summit Elementary has been considered for DLI and then not, and now I hear rumblings that it's being considered again. So how do you decide that?
Well, one of the languages we're considering is German. The state model for dual immersion has currently 6 languages supported, meaning that they have created or are creating curriculum for the program. So those would be the Spanish, the French, the Chinese, Portuguese, German, and they've now started a Russian program. So, having 4 programs already in Cache County, German is a nice fit to bring another option for our kids to take. We have very strong German programs in all of our high schools in the Valley. They all participate in German-American partnership programs, exchanges, so they're really great opportunities for our kids. With German, it's also certainly, I think, has many benefits economically, as well as the number of German ties Utah has as well. So that's one of the reasons we're considering German. We would also, we also feel like where we have a strong Spanish program in the South End, and where Mountain Crest needs a feeder program, a second Spanish would be something we would consider in the South End. So those are the discussions that we've had at this point.
Any other questions?
The size of the building is also a factor. You've got to have a floor by, so that's been a factor. Schools that we could easily get to 4 classrooms, 4 grades per classroom, and 4 classrooms per grade. Made a decision. That's why it was moved from North Park to Cedar Ridge in order to make it work. Logan struggled with that problem of having only 3 sections, and that's just not a really good model. So the building size makes a lot of difference in how quick and how easy it would be to get it so we can have 4 grades, 4 classes per grade.
So do we ever take input from parents on what language they'd like to see in their students' school?
To my knowledge, we have not yet taken that route, no. But we haven't really considered expansion, other than the Summit German program at this point. So,
okay.
But I would imagine that would be something we would take into consideration. I do have to say we also have to look at staffing and what we're able to staff, which is another reason to have multiple languages rather than many of the same, because that actually has been a problem in districts such as Washington, where they have just Spanish and Chinese, and staffing has been a major concern there. We have had not such a concern here. We've been able to fill our spots fairly easily, and that's another reason we have to look at the languages that way. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hey, thank you, Shauna. We appreciate all of your pioneering efforts in this. This is quite a task to get this and get the program and keep it rolling. Okay, we will go ahead and have our safety report next.
All right. I apologize. I was going to actually demo this for you, but they've taken it off the computer that's in here, so can't do that. Basically, if you look at the card that you see there, we are implementing a new emergency response system in all of our schools. You may remember a couple of years ago, a gentleman approaching the board about implementing this program in our schools. At the time, it was rather expensive. I think it was $80,000 a year, just really out of our reach as a school district. After you guys met with that gentleman, I worked with him for about 18 months to come up with a better business model that we could possibly implement in schools, and we got the price down to just about $10,000 a year, which was much more affordable for our school district and became a very viable option for us. basically the way the system works, if you think about how schools have worked in the past, is if you had, for example, an intruder or even a medical emergency in a school, you had to rely on the person in the middle of the emergency calling the office, or the office recognizing there was an emergency and getting on the intercom system and alerting the rest of the school that something was going on in the school. And it was, you know, the best we could do. They would use a keyword, maybe if you wanted to go into a lockdown, like red typewriter or something like that, and the school would go into a lockdown. What this system is intended to do is it's installed on all of the teachers' computers and their phones, if they so desire, and they are the eyes and ears of the school. Every adult that's in the school is the eyes and ears. So if you have an emergency in one part of the school, that teacher or group of teachers can immediately notify the rest of the school that something is going on. What happens is they trigger an alert, and these are the emergency alert protocols that all of our schools now have. There's 5 different protocols. So there is a lockdown, lockout, shelter in place, evacuate, and assistance needed. And as soon as they trigger one of those, it starts to alarm on all the phones or computers in which the system is installed. So you can lock down a school in much less time than it used to take, and you can inform folks. And so if something's spreading, you can do that without having to rely on someone getting on the intercom. Anyway, we have, before Christmas, we rolled out to all of our 17, we piloted this last spring. We rolled out to all 17 elementary schools before Christmas. We're just finishing this month. We'll be done with all the middle schools, and then in the month of February, we plan to roll this out to all of our high schools. So we should be fully operational by the end of February, we're hoping. Another nice feature of this is we've worked with the Cache sheriffs, and so they have a version of this on their phone, both the Cache County Sheriff's Office and the SWAT team in the Valley. So if there is an emergency, they are also encouraging us to not, forget 911 as an option, because that's a tried and true system. But they can also roll on site. Teachers mark their room whether they're safe or unsafe. So an officer rolling onto a school site can tell immediately, which part of the schools are they need to go to first and resolve. So that's a nice feature as well. So all of the entire system has maps in it, and the teachers can identify where they're at in the school and whether they're safe or not. So that is the system in a nutshell. I know Logan School District has also purchased the system. Salt Lake City School District, I got a call the other day from Park City School District, who I believe is implementing the system. So hopefully we'll continue to get some traction with it. So any questions?
I just have a thought. Would it be a good idea to get this information out to the public so that people know we have this system, which might be reassuring to parents, but also if anybody's thinking of doing something crazy, they might think a second time about it, because we have such good...
I don't know whether to take that approach or keep a little quieter so people don't know that we have the system, but there's 2 thoughts to that. But no, we haven't made a great effort to advertise that as of yet. So.
When I saw a demonstration of this at the Lewiston School Community Council meeting in December, so it must have been right after you rolled it out to the elementaries. Anyway, Leslie the principal gave a great demonstration of this, but the teachers said that if they tried to have it on their phone and their desktop, that there was some glitch in communication from their phone, or their desktop wouldn't work or something like that. Have you heard anything?
I'm not aware of any of that. I haven't had any reports of that.
Okay.
I will check into that, but I haven't heard of anything. Get a demo working here real quick. Phone up here. So that's the screen that the teachers get on their software. It says all is well in the school. This is a test school. So if I punch this, and I have my 5 protocols. So if I want to do a lockdown, so my phone just went off, and look, you heard that buzz. So I have a lockdown alert progress in my test school. And then if this school was the test school, every system in the building would immediately begin to alarm. So,
Is there a sound on the,
yeah, on the desktop, there's a sound.
okay.
If I had my volume right on here, I'd get a ding. Apple actually locks you down. They don't, you know how the Amber Alert comes across, and you get that kind of, that's the only system that is allowed by the Federal Communications to do that to your phone. They won't allow this system to do that on your phone. So I just get a single alert buzz. So the Android does. The Android will just keep buzzing, but the iPhone won't do that. So
Does that all clear stay on the computer all of the time, except for when the teacher's using other programs, or do they have to bring
yeah,
that up?
it just sits in the background dormant.
So they can see it all day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, they can pull it up really quickly if they need to.
great. Any other questions? It's awesome, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we will go back and go to our action agenda. And first on that agenda, we are going to, because of someone needing to leave, we are going to talk about school fees.
I think I'm going to have the high school principals just come up here on front because you're going to have a microphone. We did have a visit yesterday, and we talked through some of the school fees, particularly the ones we'll give you a little more information on tonight is drill and cheer, so that they're can be right up here. They're the experts, and once I get them here, we can get started. I'm going to start with just a little bit of background information of what I've been looking into since we met a week ago. So the first page that we're talking about here, nothing has changed on the first page of school fees. And if I go down to the second page, this is where the majority of the changes are coming up that we're suggesting tonight to the school board. But just some general comments to begin. Yesterday, we probably spent an hour and a half, 2 hours talking about school fees with the high school principals, and I appreciate them taking their time to be here tonight. And I just want to point a couple of things out to begin with, and then in a minute I'll give them some time to share their thoughts on the cheer and drill, you know, what it provides for the school and why the recommendation that we're making on the fees. To begin with, one thing I think we need to point out is most of the activities at the school are a one trimester event: football, basketball, volleyball, golf, tennis, whatever it is. Drill, even though drill is there's a season for drill with Utah high schools, drill still participates all year. It's an all-year event. Cheer is an all-year event, so it's like a 3 trimester event. And for the general sense, then, it's going to take more money to run the program. Some factors that make a difference. If you look up here now, the way we have drill listed in cheer, we're saying this includes all activity fees, uniform costs and clothing, camp travel, etc. There's a window there between $1,200 and $1,400. Cheer makes the same comment, except it excludes competitions and state playoff costs. Competitions mean cheer's not required to go be part of competitions, But if they choose to do that, which is not part of any regular program, it's very expensive to go compete. And then if our teams qualify for state, that's an additional charge because now that cheer squad is going to be traveling to St. George. That's changed in our region since we've gone into the 4A. So it's not, we just can't predict that. So we're not going to put that cost in there. That's $900 to $1,300. So now why the difference? Why is the window and why is the difference in the window? Couple of things, and then I'm going to let schools address it. Number of uniforms. Yesterday when we were talking, there's a difference in uniforms at our high schools and how they manage the uniforms. I'll let them explain that to you. There's a difference if your advisor is on staff or if the advisor is not part of your faculty, somebody outside the school. Another part is the expense for choreographing. Sometimes the advisor is able to do that themselves. If not, they have to pay somebody to do that. That's probably one of the biggest differences there. And then I've already mentioned the other one is the competitions, if they choose to do additional competitions that really are not required, part of the program. So we did put up the list here, and the way it's listed here, every fee is included to include optional. Everything is there saying it's in that. So we've put a couple of notes in there, note 3 on both of those, and down below I'll skirt down to the note. You can read the notes there. But note 3 says the advisor will itemize all costs for parents prior to tryouts and participation. I think it was yesterday Brittany brought up at Ridgeline that all advisors are currently doing this. So this information is currently provided to parents, what all these costs are. However, Brittany made the statement at Ridgeline when they're having those meetings, they still have an option on some of those things, which is included in the $900 to $1,300 or $1,200 to $1,400. There are some optional costs that they would not have to pay for, which would then reduce the price on that. But that would be covered in the parent meeting when they disclose all the itemized costs for it. Now, I did reach out and look at other districts, and I've attached it onto the board docs file, and I'll just tell you what I found quick, and then I'll make my disclaimer on that, because I really can't sit here and speak for these districts, because just like us, who knows what's all is really listed there. And so I don't want to say something and say, well, this is really what they do, because I really don't know what they do, and it's hard to find that out. Cheer at Davis, it's $955, and drill is $900, and it states in there that includes all fees. That's what their papers, and you can see that when I attached it in your paper there. Box Elder, cheer $1,100, drill $600, but to have a little caveat by that, it says plus uniforms or something. Yeah, well, it mentions the drill season $600. Doesn't mention everything else that happens outside of the drill season. So it's a little different the way it's stated. Logan mentions drill $700, and then it has a little note that says other fees may be charged, but using other monies in the school. They did not list cheer that I could find. Murray simply mentions $40 for cheer, $40 for drill. Then it says uniform, travel, camps, etc. are in addition. So that, okay. Here again, like I said last week, we're just trying to be totally open with the board so you can really see what the costs are for the programs. And so now I just want to pass the mic down to our 4 administrators here, and they can just make their general comments about the costs. And we agreed on these windows yesterday. Some schools are going to have to tighten their belts a little bit. Other schools are feeling very comfortable with these windows, and they can share that with you. So Shane, turn the mic on, and we'll just pass it down quick. Just don't take a whole lot of time.
Yeah, one of our goals when we sit down and delineate what we're using fees for is it will fluctuate depending on, you know, if they do a summer camp at Utah State versus maybe hosting one at Skyview in the past, things like that. One of the things we try to encourage our coaches is, you know, if we've got, I know with drill, black leotards or whatever, but if they've still got it from the previous year, they're not required to buy one again. So really some of that could come down. I don't know exactly what questions you'd have other than I know we really try to promote, I should say, I'm speaking a little bit for Skyview because it's what we've done kind of in the past and been involved there is we really promote that if a student wants to participate in cheer, drill, or any athletic event and money's an issue, they just come and see the athletic director, one of the administrators, and we'll figure something out that way. So to my knowledge, I haven't had anybody that says, I've made it, but I can't afford it, we're going to have to quit. Now, I guess the worry we'd have is if someone just knew ahead, there's no way we could do it and didn't try out. I don't know. But, you know, it is. I think the big issue is the fact that it goes year long. So I just, if you have any specific questions, I guess ask away.
For the Green Canyon Cheer, there was a warm-up jacket with a logo for $1,045.35. I'm assuming that is a typo.
A warm-up for cheer?
Yes.
Warm-up jacket with a logo and name. Yeah, I'm guessing it's either 104 or 105 if you do that math there, because it's 693 specifically. Yeah. So.
Just a typo.
Yeah, I'll double check on that, but either that's a typo or our math's wrong, but somewhere there's a mistake on those two. So.
Okay. Well, I was assuming that was a typo, but I thought I'd bring it to your attention because if you give that to parents.
Yeah, I will. And this is from last year, and I know going in, we really just kind of piggybacked what we'd done at Skyview. So we'll see where the adjustments will be made for Green Canyon this year.
I'll just add to this. Of course, the 3 seasons, it really does play into that because the girls are involved in this activity for, you know, a good 7 or 8 months. We've had a little bit of an advantage at Skyview because the school's older. We've been able to have uniforms going on, and so basically we've charged a basic rental fee for the uniform for cheer, and then the girls have the option to purchase it at the end if they'd like, but not very many do, and so it's given us an opportunity to continue to rotate uniforms and kind of keep going. It's the newer high schools obviously have had to go in and get a collection of uniforms for them, and so it's a little bit different situation for us. I did speak with a few parents too and just say, you know, just give me some feedback because I really haven't heard much in the way of repercussions from parents because we do meet with them in the spring. All this is laid out, and you know, they're kind of given the opportunity to have those discussions then. But especially your dance parents say, oh, by far the experience at the high school is way cheaper than anything that we do in studio or you know, with privately, and so I really haven't ever questioned that portion of it. I think we've tried to be pretty judicious in making sure that our costs are down, that we're not buying the cutest uniform for every little thing that we do, that we've tried to keep some uniform or some costuming for the dance in storage, and then do some remodeling or altering or things along those lines. But it is an expensive sport, and so I mean, you're right to look at this because of everything that's on that fee schedule. Those are the ones that stick out. And anyway, I'm not sure what else to say on it other than it's something that we've reviewed and talked about a lot at the school level, and tried to make sure that we're being fair and judicious in the way we treat that for the girls. And I think our biggest concern, of course, is that we're not eliminating, or that people aren't eliminating themselves from ever coming out to participate in cheer or dance. And that's one where you just really have to keep your ear to the ground and make sure that we are helping students feel like they have the same opportunity as anybody else if their family can't afford it. But we're really talking about a group of parents that are very invested in these programs anyway. And I think in part of our discussion, one of the challenges that we have sometimes is the parents want to do more, and especially those that can't afford it, keep pushing, and they'd like just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit nicer things. And so that's where you really have to work at it. The one thing that we have done is we do a mini cheer camp and we do a mini drill camp, and the girls, as they bring participants in to those camps, they get $25 off of their fees. And so we've done that. We had one girl bring enough into the camp that she had $500 that came off towards her fees, and so we've tried to give the kids the opportunities, and then they do some of the fundraising that becomes kind of an additional amount of money in the account that we can help defray some of the costs that go beyond this. But generally, when we meet with the parents in the spring, we say this is the cost, that's the cost, and yeah. So you heard that there is a payment plan, and we work with people, and if parents come in and talk to us, we really do try to work with it, and so anyway, that'd just be what I had to say.
I think Mike's covered just about everything, but one thing I learned meeting with the four schools was that we've just got to take a look at it. Like, for example, our cheer right now, they're buying 3 uniforms a year. And we've got to look at how we can rotate and take some of that cost away.
I wasn't at the meeting yesterday, so I do like what Mike mentioned, though, Mike Monson, that some of the parents have said it's actually cheaper at our school than it is doing it every month at a studio or whatever. And they do have ways to fundraise. We do the camps, we all do that, I think, and other ways for them to fundraise. I was thinking it was interesting, I have a daughter that was a cheerleader a number of years ago, and just in the last year we found out that we did not buy her a Letterman's jacket, which is one of the things that's on here for $257 is what we have written down. We were the only ones that didn't buy one. And because we didn't buy her one, nobody on the team could wear their Letterman's jacket. We didn't know that. We had bought her Letterman's jacket. She just felt like bad that it cost so much, so she didn't ask us to buy her one. But anyway, just a side note. We had bought her one. Well, yeah, I think so. Anyway, unless you have questions, I wasn't there yesterday, so I didn't hear the whole discussion. But
Yeah, I do. I know that Utah High School Athletic Association has a limit of $600. So the other fees are optional fees. Is that where this is coming from?
yeah.
So they would be the optional.
Yeah, just the season during their
Put on
performance.
those performances, those 3 dances, really
Yeah,
is what
it says $600 for costumes, accessory, props, music, and choreography. So that would be
Right.
for their season. And then the other fees are these optional fees.
The other fees are optional.
Okay.
But true, and I know in the previous discussion, when you say optional, it turns into I'm the only one without the letter jacket, and so nobody else can wear one. But so you say optional, but you know how that works.
Yep.
It's not always optional.
The other thing that option does for us is it provides us a way to help students that are getting, when a student comes in and has to fee waiver $1,000, somewhere that money's got to be made up within the budget itself, and so that makes it really, really tough. When things are optional, it allows us to work with a kid to either bring it in on a payment plan, to work off fees or different things like that. You don't have that parent who just says, hey, this is this is 100% required, so you're going to waive $1,000 worth of fees or whatever like that. So when it is optional, the summer camps, the things like that, if someone chooses to do those, they have a little bit more responsibility to try to help out meet the cost there instead of passing that on to every student within the program. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think all of us had a mom contact us with some concerns. And I'll just preface this with, she doesn't have children at the high school anymore, but had several daughters who were in drill. And these were just two things that she said, which I would like you to comment on if you know, because I don't know how you would prove it, but she said, when the girls try out and they get the list of what the expenses are, by the next tryout, half of them drop out because it is too much. Do you have anything to support or not support that? How? Okay. The one other comment that she made was on the optional list, if the girls do not purchase the optional items, then they don't perform. Do you have anything on that?
I don't think so. The things on that $600 list, the things for the performance based are not mandatory. Using that for the sky view. I guess the thing I would encourage, I don't know if it's on top of the, sit down and talk. I mean, our books are open, so it's easy to see, we get to try it out. Really school, which year you get to find out.
Does anyone on the board want to comment about any of this?
Well, looking at and Terry left, but looking at the drill team, at the Mountain Crest drill team, their fees are optional and required, and then they add in the $600 state competition fee and some other things. That comes to almost $2,000, the Mountain Crest one.
And we talked about that yesterday when the whole group was together and everybody was able to compare and see each other's. Terry realized that she has to go back to her school and they have to tighten their belts a little bit and find out why. Because these other schools, Mike said, hey, we're comfortable with what we came up there with the window there. It says very comfortable to run a program. So any school should be comfortable to run a program
I think
like that.
Skyview was the lowest, actually, of all of them.
Actually, Green Canyon Drill was the lowest by about only $100.
I'll take your word for it, you're the math.
But, so I find that interesting that a brand new school could be the lowest. That's cool.
Well, there's probably some other expenses that, on the original startup cost, they could have a lot of them some money for startup costs.
Oh, Oh, okay.
And Dave did do that. He mentioned that yesterday. He used some of the startup funds to defray some of the initial costs for that program.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that probably ought to be something stressed to the advisors, that not be ever a consideration, that it be handled a different way. See, I had one other question. Does anybody else have another question while I'm thinking here?
I think my concern is just, if we put this cap here, let's live with it. And let's not find another way around it with some additional options. Let's live with it.
That was my point. Yeah. If we're going to say to 1,400, that's it, and they have to live within that means. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Is that something they have to do?
Yeah.
Is that something they have to do, something they want to do, something?
It's the cheerleaders that would, and that's why we put that note there. You just don't know. Yeah.
I noticed, there was something about national competition on one of the lists too for $714. And the way it was presented, it looked like per girl. Do you do national competitions? And I was kind of confused about that. Is that per girl?
That would be a reasonable cost.
Yeah.
When we send debaters or when we send FFA, that's pretty much in the ballpark what
Yeah.
that costs.
Well, for it to be a national trip, doesn't the superintendent have to approve that?
Yes, they do.
National.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things you need to understand is we're in a fishbowl here in Utah, so that we compare ourselves to other schools. A lot of these fees you're talking about here tonight are, in other states, are covered by the school district. They don't expect kids to come up with the money to go to support a football team. The cheerleaders go, there's money set aside to pay for that expense so that it doesn't fall back on the parent. Now, that's philosophical, and I'm not saying that Utah's right or other states are do a better job of it. I'm just saying that in this state, the transparency and putting it all on parent, it's a pay-for-fee type experience in this state. That there's the philosophy is that if you're going to participate in something that's not the general education of the student, then you should pick up the cost of that. Across the state in Idaho, I just had a granddaughter go to national cheer competition, and it was a split cost, but it wasn't expected that the student would come up with everything. The school district put away funds to do things like that. So it's just philosophically how you look at it. And I think under the the guidelines and what we're working with now, there's a fee structure, and if that fee structure is not met, if a parent in the state can't meet it, that's when the state steps in and says, you have to make sure that that's available because you put it down as a fee that you're charging, and if somebody can't meet that, and it's part of a program that you run, then you will pick up that cost for individual students who can't meet that. Now, that's part of the free and appropriate education judgment that came down, that for elementary kids, you cannot charge fees, but for our high school kids, you can, but there has to be a fee waiver program also for those kids who can't afford to do it. So that's the guidelines you're working with. And so when you have something that indicates that there's a range, I think for those two programs, that's pretty reasonable. But when your football team wins, the cheerleaders are going to go down and play in a state or perform and be there to cheer in a state football game. And that probably isn't figured in just in a normal thing because it doesn't happen every year. So these are the things that the principals are having to work through all the time, and it's a system that tries to make sure that no kid gets left out, but it's also a system that says basically if you do something outside of the classroom, you need to pay for it yourself.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Okay, anything else you want to add? Great.
So Mike, just a quick question. The cap then, does that include additional fundraising that goes on besides that, you know, selling whatever it is? I'm probably going to defer and let one of the principals ask, because the way I understand that is the most the student will pay for a fee is right there. Now, they may be involved in a fundraiser to help offset some of those costs, or it may be a fundraiser to help them pay because they're choosing to do another competition or something that's not part of this. Because like cheer can choose to do competitions which are not part of this, but that's very expensive to do. But the school's deciding to do that. Our group is deciding to do that or not. So I've just had a couple of conversations with parents that you have the cost, or you have the fees, and then you have fundraising on top of that. And I just wanted to clarify what that $1,400 means. You guys want to clarify it?
Will you use the microphone, please?
The girls, those would be the way to defray their costs that they can actually put toward their fees. And then
no, pardon me. So when you say the
other
camps, they teach and get paid to do these camps. Okay.
Yeah. So the little girls will pay $25, for example, and they get a T-shirt and they get to come and perform at halftime and do some of those things. So with our girls, by recruiting another little girl or boy to come to the camp, they can get the $25 paid off of their own fee. And then we do a fundraiser. For example, the Vistons sold Fat Boys, and those were donated, and so their profits went into what we call our drill account, and then the coach has the option to use that for extra costuming or whatever else. But when we tell moms and dads, this is what you'll pay, that's all they should be paying. But there are some fundraisers that we use along the side that would help defray
that cost
the additional
somewhat.
costs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, any additional comments?
All right, Randall, do you have anything to add? Roger? Alan? Okay, are we ready to take a motion then? All right, I'll take a motion to approve the fees.
I'll make a motion to approve the fees.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the motion. Is that right? Is it right? Approve the fees. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. It has been moved and seconded that we will approve the fee schedule. Any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. Do we do it online? It is? Oh, there you go. Okay.
By the way, Terry and I had a conversation out there. I went to get her some water, but I sent her home. She's pretty sick, so that's why she's not here.
I couldn't vote.
Thank you, principals, for coming and meeting and putting all of that together and helping us understand it. And then hopefully we can stick to that $1,400 as the cap, and the girls can still do what they need to do to feel good about their sport. Thank you. Okay, we have some reports. No, we have some approval to the action. Okay, we'll go ahead and have the request for the approval of the Green Canyon High School student clubs.
He just left.
Oh, it's Greenville. It says Green Canyon.
Green Canyon's on the action, Greenville's on reports.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Just get D up here.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thought you'd canceled the clubs.
Okay. We'll try and hurry.
Yeah,
You're up. You're up. Yeah.
I think the two, are they on the screen? Sorry. Yeah, so we're asking for approval of our 6th-hour club, which is really, it's a dance club, just trying to get more kids involved after school. So they call it kind of like a dance party. They do most of the things in the commons. The Noodle Club is, that's a break off of our Chinese class. And so they'll order noodles and talk about cultures and foreign language, and as our advisor is our Chinese teacher on that one. So.
I will take a motion to approve the Green Canyon High School student clubs.
I move that we approve the Green Canyon High School student clubs.
I second it.
Okay, it has been moved and second that we approve the Green Canyon High School student clubs. Any discussion? Okay, we'll vote.
All the votes are in and unanimous in favor.
Okay, thank you, Shane.
All right, thank you guys.
Okay, next is the approval of the Mountain Crest High School student clubs.
I told her I'd handle it, and I don't know anything about anything.
They're right there. The four are listed. Last week Denise mentioned, talked to you about the four of them.
Yeah.
So we're just asking for the board's final approval on
Okay.
those four clubs.
I'll take a motion to approve the Mountain Crest High School student clubs.
I move that we approve the Mountain Crest High School clubs.
I second it.
It has been moved and seconded that the Mountain Crest High School clubs be approved. Any discussion?
Yes, the lacrosse club, that lacrosse is going to go to be a sanctioned sport 2019, next year. I guess this will just be a club for 1 year and then it'll move into a sanctioned sport. Is that correct? Okay.
Any others? Okay, let's vote.
All the votes are in favor of
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the SEP board policy update.
I did share this with you in December, and so the whole idea of this policy was to change the language of SEOP to the PCCRs and just make sure that our information was correct in board policy and how we're really operating today in our comprehensive guidance program.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the SEP board policy update.
I'll move.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the SEP board policy update.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the SEP board policy. Discussion, anyone?
It's shorter now, right?
PCCR?
No, I mean the policy.
Oh, yeah, the policy's much shorter.
Much shorter. I
And-
love it.
And they've changed the way the state does the review and everything, from going from a 6-hour review down to an hour and a half, and they're shortening everything, which is good.
Any other? Okay, we'll vote.
All the votes are in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, the request for approval of the new high school graduation requirements.
And I shared that with you. Tim was planning on being here to cover that, but I think he had another commitment to attend to. So I know here again, we're just changing the high school to reflect what it currently is, 9-12, grades 9-12 versus 10-12, the credits, the courses. And we're just trying to align ourselves the way we look today, knowing that the state board could be changing the way we look today in the near future. But right now, we wanted to get ourselves correct on our webpage and everything for the district.
I will take a motion to approve the new high school graduation requirements.
I move that we approve the new high school graduation requirements.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the new high school graduation requirements. We will go ahead and vote.
Discussion.
Oh, thank you. Discussion?
Because I have a question. At the very bottom of this policy, it says adoption date 12/12/2017. And then at the very bottom of the policy, it says last modified by Tim Smith on December 20th, 2017.
Oh, you're here. You could have done this. What are you doing?
But shouldn't the adoption date or revised date be today's date? So 1/19.
Yeah, we'll change the dates.
So you'll take the 12/12/17 off and put 1. Right. Okay. Okay.
Any
Thanks.
others? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the new high school graduation requirements.
We did
I
that
think we
already.
did that.
Oh,
We just need to vote.
yes. Okay, let's vote. I must be getting tired.
next month I'll give Tim one of my items, so.
Okay, we now have a request for the approval of the child abuse neglect policy update.
So Kathy, if you're considering fees for moving somebody to the top of the agenda item, give me a call. That's all right.
Good point.
So I'm here to request that we, am I asking? Oh yeah, that we update the policy for the child abuse neglect, which was last updated back in 1995.
Wow.
So.
Okay. I will take a motion to approve the child abuse neglect policy update.
I move that we approve the child abuse and neglect policy update.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the child abuse neglect policy update. Discussion?
Kirk, how do we know when teachers have taken the required annual training?
That's a very good question. So the Utah sexual abuse training is required. We have that online, but through our Bridge program that we have that Tim implemented this year, all of our employees go through Bridge, and then they go and take that assessment or the professional development, then come back and record it. So there's actually two pieces of evidence this year. They get a certificate when they complete the PCAU, the child abuse that the state has developed, and then they also get a certificate from our district. So that's
And how long
recorded.
does it take a teacher to do that?
It's a 45-minute minimum on that. I tried to do it as fast as I could. I've taken it before, and it took me 45 minutes. You can't move. It's regulated, so you can't really move any faster than you want to move through it.
It's computer-based training then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I have a question about just a general question. Both this one and the PCCR policy are not in correct format for what is on our website. Will they be when they're put on the website?
I sent an update to Jenda, but I know she's been out for illness or whatever reason, so.
And is she going to edit it as well? Will that?
No, but you were going to get with me on an edit. So I made the edit change. Oh, good job.
From back
I like better than countless.
I like that we're such good friends, Kurt.
I know, right?
Do all employees have to do that? So we have about 700 left to go.
If you're a sweeper and you're under the age of 18 or an employee, you do not have to take this training.
So then your lifeguards wouldn't have to necessarily.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. No. Did anybody get it yet? No. Sorry. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a vocal vote. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you.
I hope you
Karen.
weren't making these changes during board meeting.
I'm not going to tell. All right, D, finally, sorry. Thank you for waiting.
You're fine. Let me first introduce Jennifer Cox, is the chairman of our community council. I hate to make it sound like a prison, but she is in her second term, and she has served as the president, as the council chairman this year and last year. So she was involved in last year in March and April when we were talking about our goals and stuff for trust land and for our school improvement plan. We decided it would maybe be an appropriate time to put a character goal in, so we did, and we assigned $5,000 to that. When we got to August of this year and we looked at our school, we found out that we could not know this before, but we ended up with 29 and 30 kids in our kindergarten classes and 29 and 30 kids in our first grade classes, and really nowhere to pull funds for to give some aid time to them. So as a community council, we visited and decided that as important as character education is, we needed to get some help to those first grades in kindergarten. We approached the district and Gary and the superintendent found a few dollars, but in order to accomplish our goal of trying to get some help there, we decided that we would like to take that $5,000 and put it into aid time. With the help from the district and a few dollars here and the $5,000 that we've shifted, we were able to buy 2 hours of aid time for all of our kindergarten and first grade classrooms, and that's been very valuable. And so in order to accomplish that, though, we need to make that adjustment that we drop the character goal and move that money into aid time. And so that's why we're here, is you approved that original school improvement plan, and we would like to make that adjustment to be reflected in our trust land money.
Okay, any questions? Okay, we will go ahead and vote on that next Monday.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll try to
Thank
put you
you.
faster.
What's that?
We'll try and get you earlier.
Oh, you did well. You moved it.
Okay.
Can I give you one other thing, though?
Yeah.
It's a history thing. It would help you understand the drill team you just went through.
Oh, okay, good.
A lot of years ago, they didn't have any caps on anything. So there were drill teams that were spending $1,000 on uniforms, and they were competing against a team that were spending $100 on uniform. So the Utah High School Activities Association did not want to get involved in drill team, but it was under their umbrella. So they put a cap on how much you could spend on your competition numbers. So if you've ever been to a drill team competition, everybody comes with 3 numbers. Always a military, always a jazz, and then either a novelty or a kick line or a prop or something, whatever they've assigned for that year. So in order to level the competition playing field, the Utah High Schools put this $600 cap that you were talking about. That $600 is how much you can spend on those 3 competition numbers for the uniform and for the choreography. It is not the cap on anything else. So the schools that you just did, it is their job to cap the uniforms, but that does. The other thing I'd like to mention, because I spent a little time there, is that, to be honest, the drill team is probably the most honest cost of any of the costs that you see on the fee schedule, because it usually includes the makeup and the shoes and everything else, because they all want to match. Where in basketball, it shows you the basketball fee, but I'll guarantee you that everybody's buying at least $200 pairs of shoes, that does not reflect it, and it's reflected in the makeup and everything. So in some ways, the drill team is high, but it's also probably the most honest of all the fees that you'll see there, because in any of them, there are lots of fees that, like I say, best example, basketball. Probably everybody buys 2 pair during the season. It's not reflected there. They don't need to match, but in drill team, that's part of that $1,400 too anyways. But that's why the $600. It was trying to do a level playing field for the competition numbers, but it doesn't include any practice uniforms or any practice shoes or on and on.
Thank you. That's interesting. Good to know. Okay, Dale, our monthly financial report.
We've been waiting for all night.
Yeah.
Reader's Digest version, Dale.
Even better. Yeah, this report is as of December 31st. Represents half the year completed. And so I've had the report, review through it. It's pretty self-explanatory. I know we have shown
So you can see how that has all been purchased from the general fund, carryover funds that we will. The other programs themselves, fine, keeping a close eye on the capital outlay budget as we're finishing the last of these projects. We still have a little bit left to finance for Green Canyon Elementary's, their punch list gets completed. And then we have the Cache High School that's being constructed down by BATC as well on its way. And, so things are looking good. The last report was the school lunch report, and that one's interesting to see too, that we've had about, I remember right, about 40,000 more meals served as of the end of December as compared to a year ago. So that's positive, because those numbers have been going down the last couple of years. Growth helps that, and hopefully the menu's improving the invitation to students too. So that's report. So that's the questions.
I have a question. Right under the building maintenance repair line that you talked about is utilities, and it's sitting at 26.4%. Is that because we've had a more temperate winter?
No, I mean, that may have some small effect on it, if that's the case. But the bulk of that was a $274,000 E-rate reimbursement that we received. I actually made that correction here just yesterday, where in the past, E-rate has been driven mainly by telephone usage and our systems. But they have changed the rules on that, so no longer a telephone system driven that. Those are actually generated by the construction of the new facilities, the new high schools that we have. So those funds actually are coming back into the construction budget for finishing up Green Canyon. That's where I've actually credited that reimbursement back to as part of the cost of that high school. So that number will change in next month's report.
Okay.
And might bring it back to the more comparable.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dale. All right, board committee reports. Jeff, your parent survey letter.
Yes, I sent it out via email and I left copies on my printer. Sorry, I was going to bring some hard copies to look at, but if you could just please review that and make any changes we want to before we do that.
Okay. Alan and Larry on your USBA report. You want to go first, Alan?
Yeah, the issue that I enjoyed the most, and it's because of the health department, was House Bill 289 and the presentation there on how the schools are dealing with becoming the judge, jury, and execution for these students that get in trouble or break the law. And with this bill, there is absolutely no teeth for any Class C misdemeanors, and it's a difficult situation for our schools. So, Representative Snow came in and talked to us about it. Hopefully they'll make some changes in this legislative session, and we'll just see what happens there. But that was the one that I was really interested in.
Thank you. Larry?
I went to the state board session with Terry, and I came away with a great appreciation for the unity of this board as I observed how hard it is for them to do anything with
You mean
direct opposites.
The cash board, the unity of the cash board, right?
Yes,
Because they don't have it at the state level.
right. There was one state board member there that was very radical, and everything they were trying to do, she was fighting to undo. And it just made me really appreciate what we do here. The other thing, I went to the Park City presentation on coding. I've been interested in that and actually wondering what we do in our district as far as coding, because it does seem to make sense that that's a language our kids are going to need to know. I wondered, is anything happening in our district with Yes.
Yeah, matter of fact, we are currently, there is a STEM grant that is due January 31st, and we've got a committee working on that right now. I met with a gentleman yesterday that provides, it's a nonprofit organization, but they have a pretty healthy price tag with their services. But they provide professional development. If we do get the grant, we could go that direction. In all honesty, I don't think we're going to. Park City has started coding a couple of years ago, and I'm looking at maybe following more of the model that they used, and they actually used this company that I met with yesterday. Long story short, we hope to get some funding by March. That'll actually, if we get this grant and we can get up to $100,000, we need to spend a pretty good portion of that starting between March and the end of the fiscal year. So we've already identified 4 pilot elementary schools that we would like to try this in. I've got a little field trip planned for those principals, their librarians, and their computer specialists. And we're going to go to Park City. We're going to go see how they're doing it. We're going to provide some professional development for these folks, get them in. If we like the model that we come up with during our little pilot for the rest of this year, we'll bring the rest of those folks on over the summer, and we'll get them some professional development and some training on how to do this coding, and we'll move from there. The one thing I learned from some of the other districts is I've been talking with them and looking at their model. They really said the best thing is to start, a couple of them didn't do it this way, but they said they wish they would have. Start in first grade, just first grade. The next year, as they move up, then it goes to second, then to third. Part of the problem with this is by the time these, especially the girls, get to 5th and 6th grade, they've already decided in their own mind that this isn't for them. And they said if you can start them younger, then they get excited about it. In all honesty, probably outperform the boys in those early years. And so by the time they hit 5th and 6th grade, they've identified themselves as, no, this is something I can do, something I like, something I want to do. And we would like to do it that way because we can grow both the curriculum and the attitude as we go up. So
And that was a part of their presentation.
Good.
I know I'm close friends with a couple of librarians in Davis County at the middle school level. And they tell me that their libraries are just packed before school and lunch hours with kids just coming in and coding.
And in all honesty, that kind of the model we're looking at is doing this during media time. With keyboarding being moved to the elementary now, we just identified how those minutes are going to be used in computer labs, and that will be for keyboarding, especially from 3rd grade on up. One of the models that Park City is using is every other week in their libraries. Kids still come in and check out books and get everything taken care of that way right at the beginning, but then they use the last 30 minutes for coding. So that's how they've been able to do it without taking away academic time. That's kind of the model that we're looking at.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on down to the board president report. I'm going to cut a few things off of here since we've gone so long, but Alan would like to comment on the superintendent and business administrator evaluations.
Okay, by law, well, it's required that we go ahead and do this, so if it's okay with everybody on the board, I would like to get a hold of Richard and have him send out to us, and it'll come by email, a superintendent evaluation and a business district evaluation. And if you'll just go ahead and take those, and we'll send them down to Richard, and during our retreat, we'll be able to come back and have a discussion on that and look at the things that we need to improve on and move forward with it.
Okay, everybody good with that?
Is that okay?
All right, speaking of the June retreat, is everyone on board to do one? Like we did last year, it would be outside of our board meetings, maybe June 14th is what I'm thinking, if you want to kind of look at your schedules and see what you've got going there.
So that would be between our 2 normal board meetings. Okay.
And if you have a suggestion for another time, that would be fine. While you're checking that, on our legislative report meetings, I'm talking about the Saturday legislative report meetings, and I just wanted to get us assigned for our Saturdays. Terry and Superintendent, do they start at the legislature on the 22nd?
There's one this Saturday, Kathy.
I know, but they don't start their legislative session
The
till the 22nd.
legislative session doesn't start till the last Friday of this,
You're talking.
the last Monday of this month.
Superintendents and board
well,
The meeting at
It,
the whole legislative
the
session.
legislature starts on the 25th.
Okay, so
next
I
Monday.
guess what I'm asking is, would it be worth it to assign somebody to go on the 20th, this Saturday, or should we start the following Saturday? Do you understand what I'm
No.
asking?
Yeah.
Do they have anything to report? I mean, they haven't gone yet. Right?
They won't have that Saturday meeting until they've had a week of the legislature.
Yeah, they won't.
they're having one this Saturday.
They announced
They
it on the
announced
20th,
They're
yeah.
having one this Saturday.
What for?
That's what I'm wondering.
I can go.
Well, I'll go too, but I don't know why they would have one.
On the radio, they just wanted to give citizens a chance to express any concerns they had or whatever prior to the session starting, it sounded like.
That's what
We
I
had our
heard.
meeting with the legislators
Yeah,
already.
to express what our concerns were. Okay, so it's optional,
Yeah,
Terry?
I might, I've got a funeral up in Idaho, I might not be able to go.
Okay, so
Terry will go.
let's start on the 27th then. I'll take that one. Who would like to do the 3rd?
I can go for third.
Okay. 10th?
I can do the 10th.
Okay, 17th? Okay, 24th, we'll put Larry down. And Alan, or well, you can have to do the 24th or March 1st. Is that the last one?
March 3rd is the last one.
March 3rd? Is that a Saturday? No?
Yeah, it is.
I can do either one of those.
Okay, let's put you for the 3rd. And then Larry for the 24th, and I'll just put the schedule out for
They're
next
8 o'clock, right?
7:30.
7:30.
Yeah, 7:30. Okay, and then the Sharp survey, I just want to talk about that when we can have a little bit of a discussion on it, so I'll put it on for next time. And then the MBA goals are supposed to be as a group for this year, but if anybody is working on any other years and you would like us to use something on that year that would help you for one of ours, we'll discuss that next time too. Okay, do you all have one of these or not? The new one? Did you get one for everybody? Who went to that meeting?
It's on the USBA website too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think somebody knocked them up.
Yeah, was it you, Brad? Maybe it was Larry. But anyway, we'll do that next time. Okay?
I think it was Larry. who was supposed to make those up.
All right. Well, we've gone a long time tonight. Thank you for being patient and thank you for the help and appreciate the unity that we do have here on the board and how diligently you take care of your responsibilities, which reminds me, is everybody good with their same committee assignments for next year? Okay. So, anybody have anything else? All right, this meeting is adjourned.
What about Steve's report?
Oh, Steve.
No, it's fine. Just a reminder on the NSBA. And then if you haven't been into a dual immersion classroom, you really, I spent all morning there at Heritage today. And I've told you before about Sunrise. Those Portuguese teachers there are just phenomenal. But I met another one at Heritage, and it's just unbelievable. It is a lot of work, and it's a lot of effort on the behalf of the teachers, both ones, the English side and the language side. Boy, I'm telling you, we're giving some kids some advantages that will just go with them throughout their whole life. And the one thing that I think that I've asked Mike to make sure that our teachers that we have in languages in our secondary setting right now need to make sure that they've gone down and see what's coming, because it's going to be a whole different experience. It's just going to be so different. And as we go with languages we haven't had at the secondary, we've got 3, I think, French teachers we got to replace this next year. And it's not always easy, and it's not always, you don't have the opportunity of just going to their classroom and watching them and saying, yeah, they'd be really good. But we've been really, really fortunate in who we've been able to hire to come in and teach our kids. And if you just, boy, even first grade is where we started. So they're 5 months in, and that's the classroom I visited today. And they had a lesson in math, and it just was like these kids had been speaking Spanish their whole life. It's just amazing. They've only had 4 months of it, but not a word of English was spoken during that whole math. And I walked around to see if the kids were actually grasping. So it's just amazing, just amazing.
Well, Steve, I was really glad to hear that finally the language we're speaking is coming up here.
We gotta teach the kids how to make that guttural sound.
I can work with that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? All right, meeting is adjourned.